Hello. How is everybody today? So today's topic is navigating navigating the communication with the co-parent. So this can be really tricky, especially when the co-parent is really on the toxic end of the toxic behavior traits, narcissistic traits scale. And my biggest suggestion for navigating this, because they will absolutely have you running around like a chook with your head cut off if you're not careful. And it was something that you can easily get caught up to in the spiral. It's the same with the same with the texting and things like that after you've split up, in that they text these things like, oh, I wish we could have got back together. And, oh, the kids say that, that we should get back together, and all these sorts of things. Just little hooks, little pieces of bait to try and get you to talk to them, to get you back into that cycle so they can start feeding off your energy again. It's all it is. They're fishing, right? And they do the same thing with communication when there is the kids' access changeovers and things like that. So navigating it, the best way to navigate that is to absolutely follow the parenting plan to a T, the court orders to a T, whatever it is that you have in place. And if you don't have it in place and you find that the areas are grayed, are marred, the boundaries are being bulldozed, go to mediation, get the parenting plan in place so that you're not paying all of those costs of court and barristers and things like that. Go to your lawyer, have something drawn up. Relationships Australia, if you're down Victoria Way, they absolutely do mediation where you can have a parenting plan drawn up. And then you follow it. Do not sway from it. So, if they're messaging you saying, pick me up, or I can't pick them up, you're going to have to do this, you're going to have to do that. It's no, as per court orders, as per parenting plan. You message back as if like you're a third party. That is the best case scenario, because you don't want to be emotionally involved, emotionally connected, giving them energy or any open-ended messages that they will respond with. And most often than not, they will keep responding. They will keep responding and responding and responding, and it will escalate. However, you've said your one answer, which is it's as per court orders. That's the end of it. You don't need to respond after that. There is no need for it all. It's just they just don't want to have to follow the rules. And phone calls, try and always have it in a text message or an email so you have it written, because phone calls will just get used against you unless you're using the recording the phone call app where you've got it recorded so then you can play it back later. That was something that I was given to do a long time ago. The other really great tools that are really good too is you can get the wizard apps, the family wizard apps, where all communication and the arrangements for child access and things like that, school holidays, all of those things can go into that app. So a lot of it is already pre-programmed, like school holidays and stuff. You just need to download it into, I'm pretty sure it's called a Wizard Family app. There's a couple of different ones, and some of them aren't pricey. They're like $200 a year. However, worth its weight in gold as well. And that can work really well if they're not too high end on the scale and there is still some room there. And if you've put that in with the lawyers in place or they've agreed to it and you stick that in there, then you just stay firm as per the app, as per the agreement in the app. And if it's going to get too sticky and too ugly, then you've got the app, because the app's tracked. The app can be tracked, and that's why it's expensive. And it can also be tracked, I pretty much believe it can also be tracked, because all communication, then they don't text you or email you. Everything is done through the app. And I'm pretty sure in some apps you can even adjust it that if there's any swearing or sort of, it will flag particular phrases, particular words and those things. And then it's sort of like an X mark. So they're really amazing as well. Absolutely suggest that you research, because they can be worth their weight in gold, like I mentioned. So they're great for navigating the access periods. And, you know, if they're coming back around going, oh, well, if you do this for me, I'll do that for you, don't fall for it. Just stay strong to the backbone of the agreement. The parenting, well, agreements aren't worth a pinch of shit anyway. It needs to be a parenting plan or a court order. They're the only ones that you will be able to really hold. You know, even when your back's to the wall and you feel like you've got nowhere to go, you always have the parenting or the court order in place. Perfect scenario. Otherwise, it will always be tried to be grade. They don't like following the rules. It's not what they do. Handovers and things like that. Another really great strategy is like an exercise book. So if there's AVOs or IVOs and things like that in place, then you have a handover book and just a normal regular exercise book, and you just date it, just a little, not an essay, just point form. If there's any sort of communication about the kids that you need to give. So, you know, if there's antibiotics or if there's asthma puffers or if there's anything like that, just have those in there. If, you know, there's a tooth lost or a tooth being wiggly or anything like that, just pop them in there too. They're always good to have it written down. So then it's noted, you know, just like school teachers and things like that. Another really great tip is too that if you find, and this was something that I had to navigate through, because one of my kids was always sick. He was very, very sick as a child. We were always flown to Melbourne ICU. So scripts, antibiotics, things like that, I would always make sure that the local chemist had our scripts on hand and they stored them so that if the kids got sick, he could easily go there and get those scripts filled, because otherwise he wouldn't take them to the doctor and he'd give them back to me sick. And I'd end up in hospital with one of them because, yeah. So that's another thing too. So then if they're saying, oh, they're sick, there's no medicine here, no anything, then you can say, yep, the scripts are at this chemist. You can go there. They're all ready to go if you need them. So that's a great little backup tip as well. Asthma plans and things like that, make sure that they've got copies of them. You can email those through too. So then there's no excuses that they didn't know how or didn't know what to do. They're great little tips as well. That way then too, you're not standing there having a conversation with them going, well, he needs this and he needs this and he needs this, because they're going to come back and not necessarily is always followed. And that can cause lots of triggers, lots of anxiety for yourself on return, because it's not the way that you would have cared for your kids. So, and that can be really tough, that space. Navigating co-parenting. Otherwise, it's just about the kids only. If they text you halfway through a school holidays or halfway through an access weekend, unless it's to do with the kid's health, there is absolutely no reason why you need to communicate with him. It's, oh, you know, if such and such is at the hospital or such and such had a fall or whatever, unless you need to do something, you do not need to respond. They are just trying to elicit something from you. So a really good example of that is if say, you know, Katie had a fall, she's skunned her knee, XYZ, you can either just go, thanks for letting me know, or not respond at all and just leave it be. It will elicit a response. If you say, thanks for letting me know, and then he texts again, you don't necessarily need to respond unless she needs to go to the hospital and you're going to meet them there. Otherwise, he's just trying to have a conversation with you, or he'll also use it, so be prepped. Oh, mummy's not texting me back. She doesn't care about you. This is what they do with that. This is where they go. So it's about being eyes wide open and understanding that, you know, daddy needs to be able to stand on his own 2 feet and look after those children without you, just like you have their whole lives. If anyone has any questions about navigating co-parenting, communicating and those sorts of things, please drop some comments down below. So there are so many different ways about going about this. And it's also when we get that text message at 9 p.m. that we can go into overwhelm mode, overload mode, overthinking mode, and things can get a little bit anxious for us. It's about keeping your cool, remembering that, you know, you can always ring the police and ask for a welfare check if you're really, really concerned. That is something that I always had in my back pocket, something that was used very regularly because there were consistent year in, year out ABOs in place. And you just ring the police and go, I'm really concerned for this, and this. Can you please do a welfare check? And they will. It's okay. You are doing everything in your circle of control to ensure that your children are safe. And it's also just remembering too, am I actually being a little bit overzealous in this moment because I haven't left my kids on their own with them, especially if it's your first school holidays. I remember when they did finally go back, and it was the first time they were gone. I literally was curled up on the couch and didn't fucking move. I had one of my girlfriends come over. It was a friend of a friend. I think they came over and they literally dragged me off going, you got to get up, you got to get out. Because I was just so petrified about what was going to happen and them not being in my care, the protection mode, especially when you've been in an abusive situation. The care for your kids, will he bring them back? What will happen? All of those things can go through our heads. So it's about making sure that you have all of your circle of control covered. And if anyone needs to chat about that, please let me know and we can go through what your circle of control is and what it looks like, because it can change. Yeah, if anyone's going through anything that's a little bit tricky to negotiate and you just need some extra support, or you would like some extra strategies or extra ways or extra thoughts or whatever tailored to your specific situation, please reach out. Not only do I have, dozens of clients come through each week that are in exactly these situations, I've been through lots of it, clearly, 15 years of it myself. So let me know.